Hello class, and welcome to our new and improved Kung Fu NES walkthrough, right here on Video Games 101 by way of Let's Play with Brigands. I'm your instructor, Professor Brigands, and Kung Fu is a veritable classic for the NES, such a fun time to pick up and play. Based on the arcade game Kung Fu Master, also known as Spartan X in Japan, retains some of that arcade difficulty. Not too bad though. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give Kung Fu for the NES a 4 out of 10. On the frustration scale, this equates to biting down on your controller, but fear not, your controller is safe for this one, as we've got all the tips to allow you to beat this game without even taking a single hit. Gary's got your boss beaters for busting the teeth of Mr. X and his cronies who kidnapped our beloved Sylvia in this Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee film-inspired game, which ultimately led to Super Mario Bros. That is true, would not exist without this game. Fluff has some mind-blowing facts to share about Kung Fu for the NES, and we're going to share those on the other side of this intro, so stick around, this is going to be a fun one. Alright, before we get into the game, note the difference between modes A and B is just starting the game on a more difficult setting, same as if you'd already beaten the game once and it loops again. And of course, 2-player mode, if you do have a +1, you can take turns, but as we get into the game, let's take a look at the controls for Kung Fu for the NES. Doesn't get simpler than this. Kick with B, punch with A, and you can crouch or jump with down or up respectively, and you can do crouched punches and kicks, jump punches and kicks. Pause the game with start. As we take a look now at the Briggs notes for this Kung Fu NES walkthrough, the keys to beating this game. Number 1, keep moving. The enemies never stop coming, so you want to get to the boss as quickly as possible. Don't wait till the last second to attack enemies. They'll stick to you and start sapping health. And as a general rule, crouch punches and jump kicks work well on bosses, but we'll defer to our resident expert.
It's Scary Gary's Boss Beaters. Right, the stick fighter. Like most of the bosses in this game, you want to lead with a jump kick to take away half of his health very quickly. And then quickly follow this up with crouched punches or kicks. If you're lucky, he won't even get a single hit off. You'll take him down and move on.
Thank you very much, Gary. And Blaze has some tips for the start of Stage 2, or Floor 2 better said. Blaze?
Alright, the baddies in the first half of this stage come in 3 varieties. Here's what you gotta do to react to each one. The orange, just keep walking. These will explode and fire out in all directions, but if you're walking, you'll be past it. Next, we have these dropping in. These will create a stationary dragon. Do a jump kick into them, otherwise just keep walking. And lastly, the little green pots right here will drop a moving snake on the ground, so you can hit them if they're dropping right in front of you, otherwise jump over that snake, keep on moving.
Thank you, Blaze. Next boss, Gary.
Boss beater. The Boomerang fighter. First, you want to react to that first boomerang, whether it's low or high, to jump or duck respectively, and then lead with that jump kick once that boomerang's behind you. React to that boomerang, or get those kicks or crouched punches in very quickly, or crouched punches and crouch kicks, I should say, to take him down, and then react to that boomerang. Depends how fast you can put him on the canvas, or beneath the canvas, as the case may be. But just like that, you're moving on.
Thank you, Gary, and keen-eared observers in our class might recognize that gloating laugh from Mr. X as being the same as Bald Bull and or Soda Popinski will deliver when they gloat when they defeat you in Punch-Out. Check out our class on that game, by the way. That was a lot of fun, featuring Doc Lewis. Also the same laugh which I believe Ganon delivers in Legend of Zelda 2, just called Zelda 2, Adventure of Link. But these knife guys, they will just torment you until you take them down. Just react accordingly, either jumping over a low dagger or ducking under a higher dagger. And next boss, Gary.
Boss beaters. Alright, the giant. Lead with one of those jump kicks to take him down halfway, and then just follow it up with crouch punches. The bigger they are, the harder they fall, class.
Very satisfying. Thank you very much, Gary. On to the penultimate stage class. It only gets more difficult from here. So this time we have a number of little beetles flying at us at different heights, depending on their location. That'll dictate how we react to them. The high ones, we could just do a confident jump kick. The medium level ones, just do a regular kick and walk on through. And then same with the bottom ones, only you need to jump after you take down them because they respawn quite quickly. And we're coming up on the next boss. Speaking of quickly, Gary?
Boss beaters.
Alright, the Black Magician gets my award for toughest boss here in Kung Fu. You want to react to his first move first. If he attacks high, then duck, and then move in and do the crouched punches. If he does a low attack, it's going to be like a short attack right in front of you. It could be a stationary dragon or a snake that hits the ground like we had in the second stage, but you can jump over this if that's the case. But just wait for a high attack and duck, move in, and just repeat this. Word of advice, don't corner him on the right side. Let him come to you. If you move all the way to the right, he gets very aggressive, and he'll put you down before you put him down in that case. Good luck.
Thank you very much, Gary. I have zero qualms about the designation for that being the toughest boss here in Kung Fu. He's a handful. Mr. X, though, the final boss and the boss on this floor here, real sleazeball, employing children to come after Thomas. That's our character's name, by the way. Yeah, it's a little tricky here when you get into these cycles with the knife guy, and this is, alright, this is interesting. It's like jumping rope right here. You don't want to duck prematurely when it comes to the little guys, as that will increase the odds that they will try to bounce on your head. But we're actually coming up on the final boss for Kung Fu here, so Gary, take us home.
Boss beaters.
Alright, Mr. X, the final boss here in Kung Fu. Lead with a jump kick. This time, instead of going for any body attacks, we want to pull back, reset, and repeat with another high jump kick. And if you hit him just right, 2 will take him down. Sometimes you need a third one, but congratulations, you have beaten Kung Fu and saved Sylvia.
Thank you very much, Gary, but their happiness does not continue long. Maybe we should have put a tracker on her or something. I mean, we know where she is. She's back 5 floors up once again as the game loops, repeats again for the second time, as if we started the game on that B mode difficulty. The enemies are faster, more aggressive, more plentiful, and the little guys are more inclined to jump on your head. There's a little trick to, if you can react fast enough, we'll show you. We're going to play through this just one last time. I don't have any delusions about getting through this without taking any damage this time around on the second loop, where it is much more difficult, but using the tips we learned in that first run through, let's see if we can get through at least without losing any lives. And I teased this in the intro. Let's finally bring him in to tell us some wild facts about Kung Fu for the NES, our resident fact finder, Fluff.
Like many NES games, Kung Fu is an NES port of an arcade game, in this case Kung Fu Master from developer IREM. It was loosely based on Jackie Chan's 1984 action film Wheels on Meals, known as Spartan X in Japan. Incidentally, the game itself was released under the title Spartan X in Japan before simply being renamed Kung Fu for Western audiences. There is even a direct sequel, Spartan X2, which was exclusively released years later in Japan. It was also directly inspired by the film Bruce Lee was making when he died, The Game of Death, a film in which Lee's character had to climb 5 floors of a pagoda in order to rescue someone, with each floor guarded by unique martial artists. Sound familiar? Now, despite probably not appearing on too many shortlists for the best NES titles, very few games can say that they've had as much influence on the video game industry as Kung Fu. It's considered to be the first game in the beat-em-up genre, as well as one of the first truly well-made side-scrollers, but perhaps the game's biggest claim to fame was that it was directly responsible for Super Mario Bros. Arguably the most influential video game designer of all time, and the father of Mario himself, Shigeru Miyamoto, headed the project of porting the arcade game to the NES. Miyamoto was inspired by his work on this game to create a colorful side-scroller with a scope the world had never seen before, which would ultimately become the following year's Super Mario Bros. It's also worth noting that the chief developer on the arcade version of Kung Fu Master, Takashi Mishiyama, got the idea for the first Street Fighter game from the boss fighting portions of this game.
Incredibly influential Kung Fu, but you had no idea. I certainly had no idea. So that's the move right there on the little guys. If you do see them, go for that launch on your head, which they'll only go into if you're crouched down on the ground. But again, it's kind of impossible sometimes to not be in that position. Then just very quickly do a jump to the left and they'll just bounce off of your back. So there you go, that's how you handle them. But there goes the no damage run. That's alright though. Again, like I said, I didn't expect that. But before we finish out, let's go back to Fluff for one last Fluff fact about Kung Fu.
Kung Fu's soundtrack, like the no-nonsense bass-heavy level music and title theme, was composed by Masato Ishizaki. Ishizaki scored a job with IRAM, the developers on the original arcade version of Kung Fu Master, again known as Spartan X in Japan, after seeing their ad hiring for software developers. In the interview, he admitted he didn't know anything about software development, and instead of rightfully saying, "Why are you wasting our time, get out of here?" IRAM asked him about music composition. Despite having never composed music before, Ishizaki knew how to noodle and improvise on his guitar, so they hired him in late 1983. After composing music for The Battle Road as his first credit, work began on Spartan X in 1984. Takashi Nishiyama, who directed development on the original arcade version, initially believed the game would sound much more impressive with just sound effects, and thus didn't need music. Ishizaki had a theme in mind for the game, so he pitched the idea of comparing two versions of the game, one with just the sound effects and one with his theme. Nishizami agreed, and the scored version with Ichizaki's music sounded better, so they went with that one. This music was subsequently ported to the Famicom/NES version, along with the rest of the game, with famed Nintendo composer Koji Kondo, who composed the music for Super Mario Bros., The Legend of Zelda, and many more classic themes, oversaw the arranging of bringing Ishizaki's music to the console. Ishizaki scored a few more titles for IRAM before joining Capcom in the late 80s, composing for R-Type before leaving the industry a few years later.
Excellent timing, Fluff. Thank you very much, as we are reunited with Sylvia for a second time. I don't think I got one more in me though, class. Thank you so much to all my TAs. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to enroll in Video Games 101. Do one of these classes every single week. Love to have you enrolled. Click that like button too and leave a comment. Really does help us out. And yeah, we'll see you next week in the same spot for next week's class, right here on Video Games 101. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and comment on this video, and click subscribe if you haven't already, as this seriously helps me to keep making great content for you. And check the description of this video to see what song is playing right now.